You cancel plans you were actually looking forward to. Not because something came up, not because you're tired. The day arrives, and suddenly your body decides that leaving the house feels like walking into a courtroom where you're both the defendant and the prosecutor. So you text, "I'm so sorry, I'm not feeling great." And you're not lying. You genuinely feel sick. Your home didn't reject you. The world might. You know this about yourself. You've known it for years, and every time it happens, you tell yourself the same thing. I'm just introverted. I'm just recharging. I'm just different. But here's the thing. You're not just introverted. You're something much more specific than that. People think loving to stay home is about comfort. It's not. It's about control. You're not avoiding the world because you hate people. You're avoiding the world because out there, you can't control how you'll be perceived, how you'll perform, whether you'll say the wrong thing, wear the wrong face, take up too much space or not enough. At home, you're safe from being measured. You're safe from being misunderstood. You're safe from the exhausting performance of being a person who doesn't feel like this. So you stay in, not because you're lazy, because you're tired of translating yourself to a world that doesn't speak your language. And the cruelest part? You're good at the performance. You're so good that no one knows how much it costs you. Let me tell you what's actually happening in your brain. Your nervous system isn't broken. It's just loud. Think of it like a smoke alarm that's too sensitive. Most people's alarms go off when there's a fire. Yours goes off when someone microwaves popcorn 3 rooms away. It's not that the alarm is wrong, it's that it was trained to detect danger everywhere. Maybe you grew up in a house where you had to read the room to survive. Maybe you learned early that people's moods were unpredictable, that love was conditional, that your needs were an inconvenience. Maybe no one ever hit you, but you still felt like you were walking on eggshells made of glass. So your brain became a surveillance system, pattern recognition on overdrive, constantly scanning, constantly adjusting. And now, even when you're safe, your system doesn't believe it. Because the truth is, you weren't taught that the world is safe. You were taught that the world is something you have to manage. And managing the world is exhausting. So you come home, you close the door, and finally, for a few hours, you let your shoulders drop. This is why you love being alone, not because you don't need people, but because with people, you become a different version of yourself, a version that's friendly, competent, easygoing, a version that never quite feels real. Here's the thing that'll break your heart if you let it. You're deeply empathetic, but you don't know how to receive empathy. You're incredible in a crisis, but you fall apart in peace. You can hold space for everyone else's pain, but your own feels like an imposition. You crave connection, but connection feels like exposure. And the worst part? You've gotten so good at being alone that you started to believe you prefer it. But preference and adaptation aren't the same thing. You didn't choose this because it's what you wanted. You chose it because it's what felt survivable. There's a version of you that would love to show up to that dinner, that would love to be seen without the armor, that wouldn't need 3 days to recover from a 2-hour hangout. But that version of you was never safe enough to exist. So you became this one instead. The one who stays home. The one who curates a life so small and controlled that nothing unexpected can hurt you. And it works. Until it doesn't. Because here's what nobody tells you about safety. It starts to feel like a cage. You wanted peace. But somewhere along the way, peace became isolation. You wanted control, but control became avoidance. You wanted to protect yourself, but now you're protecting yourself from the very things that might make you feel alive. And you know this. You feel it every time you decline an invitation and feel both relief and sadness at the same time. Every time you scroll through photos of people doing things and think, I could never. Every time you wonder if this is just who you are now, someone who watches life instead of living it. And you've lost something. Not dramatically, not all at once, but quietly, the way you lose a language you used to speak fluently. You've lost the belief that the world might actually be kind to you, that you might be wanted, not just tolerated, that you could take up space without apologizing for it. And the saddest part? You don't even feel like you're allowed to grieve it, because you're fine. You're functional, productive, independent. No one would ever look at you and think you're struggling, but you are. You're just struggling in a way that looks like competence. But let me tell you what I see when I look at you. I don't see someone who's broken. I see someone who survived. I see someone whose nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do, keep you safe. And it has. You're still here. You made it through. The reason you love staying home isn't because you're weak. It's because you're aware. You feel more than most people. You notice more. You carry more. And the world isn't built for people like you. It's built for people who can move through it without absorbing it. But you absorb everything. Every tone, every glance, every shift in energy. And that's not a flaw. That's depth. That's intelligence. That's the kind of emotional sensitivity that most people spend their whole lives trying to access. You were just born with it, and no one taught you how to hold it without it crushing you. So, yeah, you stay home. You protect your energy. You choose carefully. And that's okay. But I need you to know something. The world doesn't have to be as dangerous as your nervous system thinks it is. Not everyone is going to misunderstand you. Not every room is a test. Not every connection is a performance. There are people out there who will meet you where you are, who won't need you to be smaller, quieter, easier, who will see you, the real you, and not flinch. But you have to let them in. And I know that's terrifying. I know it feels safer to stay behind the glass. But safety isn't the same as living. And you deserve to live. Not just survive, not just function, but live. You don't have to throw the door open tomorrow. You don't have to be someone you're not. But maybe you could crack the window, let a little air in. See what happens when you stop performing and start existing. Because the version of you that's tired of pretending, that's the version people actually want to know. You built this cage because you needed it. I see that. I see why you became this way. But you don't have to live in it forever. The door was never locked. You were just too scared to check. And that's okay. Fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And being human, the full, messy, tender version of it, is the bravest thing you'll ever do.